Tony Robbins here. Listen, your mind is the most powerful weapon you have, but only if you control it. If you don't program it each morning, the world will, and most of the time, the world is filled with fear, doubt, and limitation. So let's take charge. I'm going to walk you through 14 affirmations you can use starting tomorrow morning. Speak them with intensity, feel them in your body, and watch how your life transforms. Most people wake up in the morning, and before they've even taken their first conscious breath, before they've even stretched their body in, they've already lost control of their day. The moment the alarm goes off, what do? They reach for their phone. They don't even think about it, it's automatic. They check their notifications, they scroll through social media, they open emails. In that very first moment of waking, instead of being the master of their mind, they hand over the steering wheel of their emotions to the outside world. They allow comparison, fear, and distraction to shape their state of being in, and they don't even realize it's happening. Think about this. The very first thoughts you think in the morning set the tone for the entire day. If those first thoughts are about what you lack, what went wrong yesterday, or how much you don't want to get up, then you've already planted seeds of stress, doubt, and resistance. And when those seeds are planted, the rest of your day will grow from them. You're not living intentionally, you're living on autopilot, being pulled around by the same thoughts, the same habits, the same limiting patterns that have been running you for years. The problem is not that people don't want to live a better life. Everyone wants more energy, more joy, more success. The problem is that most people don't take control of their psychology. They don't understand that every single day, especially in those first precious minutes of the morning, they are conditioning their nervous system either to win or to lose. Most people wake up and condition themselves to lose. Now here's something you need to hear. Your brain is a survival machine. Left unchecked, it's going to focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what could hurt you. That's how we've evolved. Our nervous system is wired to scan for threats to protect us. But what protected us in the jungle thousands of years ago is the same wiring that keeps you stuck in fear and stress today. So when you open your eyes in the morning, if you're not intentional, your brain will go right to stress, the bills you have to pay, the project you didn't finish, the conversation that didn't go well. Your brain will anchor to that negative focus, and suddenly, you're already tense before you've even left the bed. That's the real problem. Most people let their past, their stress, and their fear dictate their future. They don't realize that the quality of their day, the momentum they build, comes from those first few moments after waking up. You see, the first thing you feed your mind each morning is like the software you upload for the day. If you upload negativity, distraction, or comparison, don't be surprised if your system crashes by noon. Think about how common this is. People roll out of bed and they start thinking, I'm so tired, I don't want to do this today. Or they say to themselves, I wish I had more time, I wish things were easier, I wish I was further ahead. All of those thoughts are disempowering. They don't move you forward, they trap you in the same emotional state you were in yesterday. And here's the truth, if you start your day in a state of weakness, it's almost impossible to build strength later. You have to prime yourself for power the moment you wake up. The problem isn't just psychological, it's physical. When you wake up and immediately dive into stress or comparison, your body starts producing cortisol, the stress hormone. Your nervous system shifts into fight or flight. You become reactive instead of proactive. That's why so many people feel drained even after a full night's sleep. It's not that their body didn't rest, it's that their mind went straight back into a stress loop as soon as they opened their eyes. And then what happens? You carry that energy into the rest of your day. You go to work, and instead of focusing on what matters most, you get distracted by 100 little things that don't move your life forward. You feel overwhelmed, you feel like you're always behind. And no matter how much you do, it never feels like enough. That's not because you're not capable. It's because you never claim control over your emotional state at the start of the day. And most people don't realize success is less about resources and more about resourcefulness. You can have the best strategies in the world. You can have opportunities all around you, but if your mindset is poisoned with negativity, you won't see those opportunities. You won't act on them. You'll hesitate, you'll procrastinate, or you'll talk yourself out of it. The problem isn't out there. The problem starts right here, in the way you think and the way you feel every single morning. Let me tell you something, your brain is like a garden. Whatever you plant in the morning will grow throughout the day. If you plant weeds, thoughts of fear, doubt, limitation, those weeds will spread and choke out your energy, your creativity, your passion. If you plant empowering beliefs, gratitude, and confidence, those will grow too. The problem is that most people don't even realize they're planting weeds before they've had breakfast. They don't realize they're unconsciously sabotaging themselves with the very first words they say to themselves when they wake up. And that's why people stay stuck. They keep saying they want more, but their mornings betray them. Their mornings reveal the truth, and that they are conditioning themselves to be victims of circumstance rather than creators of their destiny. They wake up and rehearse the same patterns of fear and doubt, and then they wonder why nothing changes. You see, the problem is not that you don't have enough time or enough money or enough opportunities. The real problem is that you're not controlling the conversation in your head at the start of the day. You're not using the power of those first few minutes to program yourself for strength, confidence, and clarity. And if you don't do that, then life will do it for you. The world will bombard you with negativity, with distraction, with noise. And if you let that in before you've built your own foundation, then you're building your day on quicksand. That's the problem most people face. They don't start their day by choosing their state. They don't realize that every single morning, you're either conditioning yourself for fear or conditioning yourself for power. There is no neutral. There is no middle ground. You're either priming your nervous system to create, to lead, to thrive, or you're priming it to react, to hesitate, to survive. And survival is not enough. You were not born to survive. You were born to live fully, to give deeply, to grow constantly, and to create a life that inspires you and everyone around you. The truth is this: if the problem is that most people wake up and let fear, doubt, and distraction control their minds, then the solution is to take back that control the very moment you open your eyes. You have to understand something. Your mind is like a muscle. If you don't train it, if you don't condition it, then it gets weak. It doesn't matter how strong your body is. If your mind is not primed for power, you're going to feel stuck, tired, and reactive. But the good news is you can reprogram your mind. You can literally train your brain to work for you instead of against you. And the way you do that is by consciously choosing what you feed it every morning. See, most people think their day just happens to them, but the truth is, your day is created by the rituals you practice consistently. If you start your morning with weakness, the rest of your day will echo that weakness. But if you start your morning with strength, with clarity, with power, then that strength multiplies. The solution is to take charge of those first few minutes and program yourself for greatness. This is where the concept of morning affirmations comes in. Not the shallow kind where you just whisper nice words to yourself and hope life gets better, but the kind where you embody powerful, intentional beliefs that ignite your nervous system. The kind where you stand tall, breathe deep, speak with conviction, and actually feel the truth of what you're saying. Words without emotion are empty. But words infused with emotion, repeated with certainty, can change the way your brain wires itself. They can literally reshape the filters through which you experience your life. When you wake up in the morning, your mind is in what's called a theta state. It's highly impressionable, like soft clay waiting to be shaped. That's why the first thoughts you feed it are so critical. In that state, you can either let your subconscious rehash the past and repeat old patterns, or you can deliberately install new beliefs, new patterns, new directions. That's the solution. Use the power of the morning to reprogram your mind with thoughts that serve you instead of thoughts that sabotage you. Think about it like this. Every morning is a chance to reset your identity. Every morning is an opportunity to decide, who am I going to be today? Am I going to live in fear, or am I going to live in faith? Am I going to play small, or am I going to rise with energy, passion, and determination? The solution is to stop letting your mornings be random. Stop letting them be stolen by a screen. Stop letting them be poisoned by fear. Instead, you build a ritual, a practice, a habit of feeding your mind with power. Here's what I mean. Imagine two people waking up at the exact same time. One rolls over, grabs their phone, scrolls through social media, sees something negative, feels anxious, and drags themselves out of bed. The other one wakes up, takes a deep breath, stands up, and speaks life into themselves. I am strong. I am grateful. I am focused. Today I choose progress. Today I create momentum. Today I am unstoppable. One person starts reactive, the other starts proactive. One person gives their power away, the other person claims it. That difference in the first 5 minutes can completely change the trajectory of their entire day. That's the solution. It's about priming your state, because success is not just about what you do, it's about the state you do it from. If you start your day in a low state, you'll hesitate, you'll procrastinate, you'll doubt yourself. But if you start in a high state with energy and clarity, you'll attack the day with confidence. You'll see opportunities you would have missed. You'll have the courage to take action when others pull back. That's why the solution is so powerful. It's not about waiting for life to motivate you. It's about generating motivation from within. And here's what's really exciting. This doesn't take hours. You don't need to meditate on a mountaintop for 10 years to change your life. You just need a consistent ritual every morning where you speak to yourself in a way that builds you up. You need to declare who you are, what you stand for, and what you're going to create. When you do that with intensity and emotion, you condition your nervous system for victory. Now, some people say, Tony, this sounds too simple. Can saying a few words in the morning really change my life? And my answer is absolutely yes, because words shape meaning and meaning shapes your life. In every emotion you've ever felt came from the meaning you gave a situation. And how do you create meaning? Through the words you use. If you wake up and say, I'm tired, I can't do this, nothing ever works out for me, then you've already poisoned your day with a disempowering meaning. But if you wake up and say, I am powerful and I am resourceful, today I will find a way no matter what, then you've given your mind a new meaning and your emotions will follow that. This is the essence of the solution. You can't always control what happens in your life, but you can control the meaning you give it. And by starting your mornings with powerful affirmations, you take control of that meaning before the world has a chance to dictate it to you. You set the standard for your own life. You decide who you are and how you will show up. And once you've decided that, nothing can shake you the same way because you're rooted in a state of power. The solution is not about pretending problems don't exist. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about stepping into a higher state of consciousness where you can handle reality with strength. When you prime your mind every morning, you don't eliminate challenges. You elevate yourself so that those challenges no longer control you. You rise above them. You meet them with courage instead of fear. You transform obstacles into opportunities. That's the solution, not escaping life, but equipping yourself to dominate it. And remember, this repetition is the mother of mastery. One morning of affirmations will not transform your life, but practicing this every morning with consistency and intensity will rewire your brain. Neuroscience proves this. When you repeat a thought with enough emotion, you strengthen neural pathways, you create new connections, and you literally sculpt your brain to operate differently. Over time, those empowering beliefs become your natural state. Instead of forcing yourself to feel confident, you just are confident. Instead of trying to find gratitude, you live in gratitude. That's the power of consistent practice, and that's why the solution works. So the solution is clear. Take control of your mornings. Feed your mind before the world does. Replace autopilot with intentionality. Replace weakness with strength. Replace fear with courage. The moment you open your eyes, you prime yourself for power. You declare who you are and who you will be. You speak life into your day before the day even begins. That's how you shift from surviving to thriving. That's how you move from being reactive to becoming the creator of your destiny. So now that you understand the problem and you know the solution, the real question is how? How do you actually make this shift? How do you move from waking up in a state of fear or distraction to waking up in a state of power and clarity? That's what this is about, the method, the strategy, the ritual that takes this from just an idea in your head to a transformation in your life. The method begins with one simple but profound decision. You must own the first few minutes of your morning. You must claim them as sacred. Those minutes are not for the news, they're not for emails, they're not for social media, they're not for worrying about yesterday. Those minutes are yours, and what you do with them will determine the energy, the focus, and the momentum you bring into your day. The method is about using those minutes intentionally to prime your mind and body for peak performance. The first part of the method is physiology. Your body is the fastest way to change your state. You cannot think your way into a powerful morning if your body is slumped over, your breathing is shallow, and your energy is low. That's why when I teach priming, I always start with movement. You've got to change your breath, change your posture, wake up your nervous system. If you stand tall, breathe deeply, and put energy into your body, your brain will follow. Your emotions are linked to your motion. The moment you shift your motion, you shift your emotion. So before you even say a single word to yourself, get into a state of physical power. Stand up, stretch, move, breathe. Get that energy flowing through you. The second part of the method is focus. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. If you wake up and focus on what's missing, you'll feel stressed. If you wake up and focus on what's wrong, you'll feel powerless. But if you wake up and focus on what you're grateful for, what you can control, and what you're excited to create, you'll feel alive. Gratitude is one of the most powerful emotions because it kills fear. You cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. They cannot coexist. So as part of the method, you take time each morning to focus your mind on what you're grateful for, on what you value, on what matters most. This isn't some fluffy idea, it's science. Gratitude changes the chemistry of your brain. It lowers cortisol, increases dopamine, and puts you in a state where you can perform at your best. And the third part of the method is language. The words you speak to yourself every morning are like commands to your nervous system. If you tell yourself you're tired, your body will comply. If you tell yourself you're strong, your body will rise to meet that identity. This is where affirmations come in. But again, I'm not talking about the weak kind where you mumble a few nice words and hope something changes. I'm talking about declarations of power. I'm talking about speaking with intensity, with emotion, with conviction. Because when you combine language with focus and physiology, you create a state shift. You create alignment between your body, your mind, and your spirit. So the method is simple but profound. You change your body, you change your focus, and you change your language. You take control of your physiology, you direct your mind to gratitude and possibility, and you declare empowering beliefs out loud with passion. That's how you prime yourself for the day. That's how you install new patterns and condition your nervous system for success. Now let's go deeper. Imagine this like training. If you go to the gym once, you don't suddenly become strong. If you lift a weight one time, nothing changes. But if you do it consistently with intensity, over time you build muscle. The same is true here. One morning of affirmations will feel good, but the real transformation happens when you do this every day. The repetition is what rewires your brain. The intensity is what makes it stick. And the consistency is what turns it into a lifestyle instead of a one-time event. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth once and say, "I'm good for the year." No, you brush them every day because hygiene is about consistency. This is mental hygiene, this is emotional hygiene, this is spiritual hygiene. It's about taking care of your inner world every morning so you can show up powerfully in the outer world. The method is not optional if you want to live an extraordinary life. It's essential. And here's something most people don't realize. When you practice this method, you're not just changing your mornings, you're changing your identity. You're teaching your brain and body a new story of who you are. Every time you declare, "I am strong," "I am confident," "I am focused," you're reinforcing an identity of strength, confidence, and focus. Over time, that becomes who you are, not just what you say. Identity is the strongest force in the human psyche. You will always act in alignment with who you believe you are. So the method works because it upgrades your identity. It aligns your inner story with the life you want to create. And let me tell you, this isn't about pretending everything is perfect. Life will still challenge you. You'll still face obstacles, setbacks, and pain. But the method makes you stronger than those challenges. It equips you to meet them with power instead of fear. It conditions you to bounce back faster, to stay centered when things get chaotic, to move forward when others freeze. That's the power of owning your mornings. That's the power of practicing this method. Another important part of the method is intensity. You can't whisper your way into confidence. You can't mumble your way into power. You've got to bring energy. You've got to bring volume. You've got to bring emotion. Because emotion is energy in motion. The more energy you put into these affirmations, the more your nervous system will anchor them. It's not just about the words, it's about the state you create while saying them. When you say, "I am unstoppable," don't just say it, stand like it, breathe like it, feel it in your chest. That's when the method works. And this is where most people fall short. They hear about affirmations, they try them for a day or two, but they don't put intensity into it, they don't embody it. And because they don't feel it, it doesn't stick. The method is not about empty words, it's about full immersion. It's about engaging your physiology, your focus, and your language all at once. When you do that, you create a powerful anchor that shifts your entire state. So let's bring it together. The method is to wake up, move your body, breathe with power, focus your mind on gratitude and possibility, and declare affirmations that align with the person you want to become. Do this every morning consistently, with energy and conviction. That's how you rewire your brain. That's how you take back your mornings. That's how you stop living on autopilot and start living by design. When you take control of your mornings, when you apply the method with consistency and passion, the outcome is extraordinary. It's not just that you feel a little better. It's not just that you get a small boost of motivation. The outcome is a complete shift in how you experience your life, how you show up in the world, and how others respond to you. The outcome is the difference between living as a passenger in your own story and stepping into the driver's seat where you write the script of your destiny. Imagine waking up and instead of dragging yourself out of bed, you rise with purpose. Instead of scrolling through your phone and filling your mind with negativity, you speak powerful truths to yourself that ignite your energy. Instead of starting in fear or doubt, you start in gratitude, strength, and clarity. That energy doesn't just last for 5 minutes. It ripples into everything you do. The conversations you have, the decisions you make, the way you carry yourself, all of it changes because you've primed your mind to operate from power instead of weakness. The outcome is that your days stop feeling like battles you have to survive, and they start feeling like opportunities you get to seize. When you begin your mornings with strength, you build momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that carries you through challenges, that makes progress feel natural, that keeps you moving forward even when obstacles show up. Without momentum, everything feels heavy. With momentum, everything feels possible. And momentum begins in those first moments of the day. The outcome is clarity. Most people drift through their days reacting to whatever comes their way. They let other people's agendas, other people's opinions, and other people's problems dictate where their focus goes. But when you prime your mind in the morning with powerful affirmations and intentional focus, you gain clarity on what matters most. You stop scattering your energy on things that don't move you forward, and you start aligning your time and energy with your true goals. Clarity creates direction, and direction creates results. The outcome is confidence, not the fake kind of confidence where you puff out your chest and pretend you've got it all together, but real, grounded confidence that comes from conditioning your nervous system every morning. When you repeatedly tell yourself, I am strong, I am resourceful, I am unstoppable, and you feel it, live it, embody it, that belief becomes ingrained in you. Over time, you no longer have to convince yourself, you just know it's true. And when you walk through life with that kind of confidence, opportunities open up, people respond to you differently. Challenges don't intimidate you, they energize you. That's the outcome of mastering your mornings. The outcome is resilience. Life will still test you. You will still face setbacks. You will still have days where things don't go as planned. But when you've built the habit of priming yourself every morning, you don't crumble under pressure. You rise. You bounce back faster. You adapt quicker. Instead of being knocked down for weeks or months, you stand back up in hours or minutes. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about building the strength to keep moving through it. And that strength is forged every morning when you take control of your state. The outcome is energy. Think about how many people drag themselves through the day with low energy, always tired, always waiting for the weekend, always saying, I just don't have the energy. That's not because life drained them, it's because they didn't generate energy. Energy is not something you wait for, it's something you create. And when you start your day with powerful movement, deep breathing, gratitude, and affirmations, you generate an energy that fuels you all day long. You become the kind of person who lights up a room, who others feel inspired by, who operates with vitality instead of fatigue. The outcome is progress. When you prime your mornings, you stop wasting hours in hesitation, procrastination, or distraction. You start taking action. You start moving forward. And when you stack those days of progress, even if they're small steps, they compound into massive change. That's how people transform their lives. It's not from one big leap, it's from consistent progress that builds momentum. By owning your mornings, you ensure that every day begins with progress in the right direction. The outcome is freedom. Think about this: when you don't control your mornings, you're a slave to your emotions, to your fears, to your habits. You're stuck in the same cycles that hold you back. But when you master your mornings, you create freedom. Freedom from negativity, freedom from comparison, freedom from being controlled by things outside of your power. You become free to choose your state, free to choose your direction, free to live by design instead of by default. That freedom is priceless, and it begins with a simple but powerful morning ritual. The outcome is influence. Because when you shift your energy, when you show up every day with strength, gratitude, and confidence, people notice. Your family feels it, your coworkers feel it, your friends feel it. You start influencing others not by what you say, but by who you are. Leadership is not about titles, it's about energy. It's about the state you bring into every interaction. And when you master your mornings, you naturally elevate your influence. You inspire others to raise their own standards. You become a source of certainty in uncertain times. The outcome is alignment. So many people live in conflict with themselves. They say they want one thing, but their habits lead them in another direction. They say they want growth, but their actions keep them stuck. When you prime your mornings, you bring alignment between what you want, who you believe you are, and how you act. Your identity, your beliefs, and your behaviors start to line up. And when that happens, life feels lighter. Decisions become easier. Growth becomes natural. Alignment is the foundation of fulfillment, and it's built one morning at a time. The outcome is transformation, not just a temporary boost, not just a motivational high, but a real transformation in how you live. When you own your mornings, you don't just change what you do, you change who you are. You create a new standard for yourself. You stop settling for mediocrity. You stop tolerating the habits that keep you small, and you start demanding more of yourself. And because you demand more of yourself, you create more for others. You become the kind of person who doesn't just chase success, but who creates significance. And the outcome is momentum that compounds into a new destiny. Because make no mistake, your life is not shaped by one decision or one event. It is shaped by the small, consistent choices you make every day. By owning your mornings, you take control of those choices, you stack powerful days on top of each other. And when you do that consistently, you create a future that is radically different from the one you would have had if you kept living on autopilot. The trajectory of your life changes because the foundation of your days has changed. That's the ultimate outcome. So let's bring it all together. We've talked about the problem, how most people wake up on autopilot, handing over control of their emotions to fear, distraction, and the outside world before they've even taken their first conscious breath. We've talked about the solution, how you can take back that control by claiming your mornings, by choosing to feed your mind with power instead of weakness. We've broken down the method, how to use your physiology, your focus, and your language to reprogram your nervous system and prime yourself for greatness. And we've looked at the outcome, the energy, the confidence, the resilience, the clarity, and ultimately the freedom that comes when you live with intention instead of default. And now, here's the truth, none of this matters unless you do it. Knowledge without action is useless. Insight without application changes nothing. The power is not in hearing these words, the power is in speaking them, living them, and embodying them every single morning, because your destiny is shaped not by what you know, but by what you do consistently. This is the moment where you make a decision. Are you going to keep waking up the same way, repeating the same patterns, planting the same weeds in your mind, and expecting a different result? Or are you going to draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I will own my mornings, I will prime my mind, I will feed my spirit, I will set the standard for my life before the world sets it for me? If you want to create extraordinary results, you must start with an extraordinary ritual, and that ritual begins the second you open your eyes. Stand tall, breathe deep, speak with conviction, and declare who you are and who you will become. These 14 affirmations are not just words. They are tools, they are weapons, they are anchors that will condition your nervous system for power. When you say them with intensity, when you feel them in your body, when you practice them every morning, you will transform not just your day, but your entire life. So here's your challenge. Don't wait. Don't say you'll start tomorrow. Don't say you'll think about it. Start now. Take these affirmations, speak them out loud, live them, repeat them until they become your truth. Because the moment you master your mornings, you master your life. And when you master your life, you create a destiny that is unstoppable.